Hi, let me introduce myself. This is the most difficult session coming at the fag end of the day because half of you are actually planning to leave for the day, and in a city like Delhi you have to be home facing the traffic. But anyway, I'll try and make it interesting. First of all, there are no slides. I have the presentation, so I have a few pointers. So since morning, and for last 4 or 5 years, we have been talking about blockchain applications across the world, and since morning we have been talking about what's happening in India. Thanks to our IPS officer, what's happening in India, financial services, environment, etc. But there is, I have worked in India, but I would say 30% in India, and the projects which 70% of the projects I have done outside India. So all those projects which we do outside, right? I would say the resistance is much lesser. Here it takes time. It's a huge country, 1.2 billion. It's a democracy, right? So anything which needs a change, and blockchain is a revolutionary technology, right? After internet, actually forget about other technologies. Blockchain could actually change the whole scenario. So I'll just share. So there is a saying which I picked up very recently. There is only one difference between a dream and an aim, right? What is a dream? Dream requires effortless sleep. How will you dream without a nice sleep? And the aim requires sleepless efforts. Are you getting it? Right? So blockchain and the way India is going, and whether it is Make in India, whether we are talking about blockchain technologies, right? It has to be done. I feel so that it has to be done in a mission mode, right? And I will take you through some examples where it is being done in a mission mode, and they are leapfrogging across the world. So since my topic is about the social sector, so having worked with Tata's, and I'm a consultant with ADB, World Bank, worked in almost 50 countries, I've overseen projects. I can tell you, social sector, I'll try and jump actually. So first of all, what is happening to philanthropy? You would know that 2% of the profits which corporates make have to go for CSR. And the biggest complaint which I'm getting from Tata's, HCL, and some of the larger 10 donors, Mahindra Group, etc., is ye paisa ja kar hai. We are unable to follow where that last rupee is going. So that reminds me of Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, Rockefeller, etc., where they are talking about impact financing. It's a new word which has come in, that I may be doing charity, but I would like to know where my last pie is going. So those days of Jholawalas doing whatever they want to is gone. Sorry, with due respect to Jholawalas, it is actually a high-tech game which is going to begin. And blockchain technologies are something which will help them actually follow the last paisa, where it's going. So basically we are talking about immutability, evidence-based management. I'm also advisor to MOWR, Ministry of Water Resources, where we have a Sea Ganga, where we are trying to incorporate technologies of different kinds into this country. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. Water sector is actually a state subject, right? So they are not very open to it. So most of the new things which are being done in India are being centrally governed, and that's why somebody said that government intervention is very important if you have to inculcate change, and I totally agree. Now, I'll just take you through some of the stuff, which is like, for example, UNICEF, United Nations. You'll be surprised to know if there is anybody from United Nations. They are already using blockchain technologies for giving aid. Just an example that there are 100,000 refugees in Jordan which have come out of the Syrian war, right? They have no documents. They have no government documents, but using the iris technology, not fingerprints. Fingerprints can be manipulated, but it's very difficult to manipulate the iris technology. They have been able to create digital identities for 100,000 refugees in Jordan, right? And this is now being adapted across the world. Ethiopia, there's a war going on. So something like 1.2 billion so-called displaced people are going to get digital identities, all because of blockchain technologies. I'm not saying it's immutable, but this is already happening. Okay, then there is something called cash aid, right? So, BCT, I've got BCT is blockchain technologies. They are bringing in transparency, right, and immutability factors, defending against misappropriation of funds. As I said, every digital currency which you are talking about has got a marker, right, and you can easily follow it across the world. Then there is something called self-sovereign identity. As I told you, displaced refugees don't have an identity. So this physical identity through blockchain technologies is already working across the world. Then there is something called liquid social services. Well, I'm not going to get into this. There's a huge amount of money which goes to for nutrition assistance in Africa, and a lot of money goes also in India. So how will you follow it? A lot of खाना कहाँ जा रहा है? कहाँ जा रहा है खाना? उसको कैसे follow करोगे आप? So this is precisely where some of the technologies have started using, especially in US. People think that United States is a very rich country. It is, but 1% people hold 90% of the wealth, which is there also in India, right? So there are a lot of people who are displaced, who they have lost their houses, especially after COVID-19. They are using blockchain technologies, and Stanford universities and the top universities, they are working on various types of equations. So I always say that you don't have to discover anything. There are enough technologies and solutions in the world. Learn, adapt, and copy shamelessly. Why do you want to invent the wheel when it is already being done? Right? None of us are talking about what you have to travel the world, talk to international people. It's a lot of work is already happening. So I just wanted to wake you up on some of the stuff which is already being done. Then there is something called inclusive fintech. Now 1.7 billion people cannot use traditional banking services, right? Because of cultural distrust of banks. Banks are not they're important, but there's a lot of distrust. Low internet connectivity. Look at in India, you have such low internet connectivity. Where is that 4? You're talking about 5G. 4G is not available. कोई पहाड़ पे चढ़ रहा है, कोई वो टैंक पे चढ़ रहा है, ठीक है? अभी हमें बहुत टाइम लग रहा है उसके अंदर. Okay, so how do we bring these guys into the net? Blockchain technologies, using some of the markers which you already have on Aadhaar card, right? Find some other way to get into this whole game. Then there's something called public finance, municipal bonds. India, for example, your smart cities are unable to actually reach what for what they have been designed because we don't have money. Most of the municipal corporations or ULBs don't have money, right? I'm connected to social sector. So municipal bonds are also using, generating municipal bonds are using blockchain technologies. There are various case studies. Actually, I have 7 minutes. I cannot take you through them. Very successful case studies where successfully, the municipal corporations have raised bonds, right? Then there is huge amount of grants management stuff. You understand grants, there is a lot of government grants which are lying unused because there is पैसा तो बहुत कुछ पड़ा हुआ है, ट्रिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स हैं, बट उसको यूज करने के लिए प्रोजेक्ट्स आप नहीं बना पाते क्योंकि आपको ग्रांट्स की एप्लीकेशन लिखनी नहीं आती आधे लोगों को, और दूसरी बार ग्रांट देती तो उसको फॉलो अप नहीं कर सकते कहाँ चली गई ग्रांट. मैं खुद अपने $3 billion विशाखापट्टनम, ग्रेटर विशाखापट्टनम सिटी को दिया था एज एन ADB ग्रांट टू कॉम्बैट क्लाइमेट चेंज. आज 5 साल हो गए उस प्रोजेक्ट को देते हुए. आई वाज द लीड हेड. वो $5 बिलियन जो हमने दिया था, उसके अंदर से 50 लाख रुपए भी यूज नहीं हुआ क्योंकि उसको यूज करने वाले कोई बंदा नहीं वहां पे. एक IAS ऑफिसर या जो हेड था उस वक्त वो IIT का था, उसके बाद वो चेंज हो गया तो देयर इज नो बाय, राइट? सो इस वर्ल्ड में देयर इज ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी, राइट, व्हिच इज लाइक अनयूज्ड बिकॉज़ देयर इज नो यूजर्स. Are you getting it? So please understand there is no dearth of money, there is no dearth of projects, and in Sanskrit as we say योजक तंत्र दुर्लभः, उसको मिलाने वाला इंटीग्रल कैलकुलस के बंदे नहीं. Are you getting it? So no bhashanbazi, but this is a big problem. Then so when I'm saying this, इन सब एग्जांपल्स हैं हमारे पास कि ये कंपनी कर रही है. फॉर एग्जांपल ये 2.5 ट्रिलियन डॉलर का फंडिंग गैप है SDG 2030 में. इतना मिस अलाइनमेंट हो रहा है फंडिंग की अवेलेबिलिटी और सस्टेनेबल प्रोजेक्ट्स पे, इसलिए यूनाइटेड नेशंस के SDGs नहीं हो रहे हैं. इफ देयर इज एनी UN expert we can have a debate on this. What the heck? Why? It's not that India is lagging behind. It is that there is no integration between the projects and the money is available. Then, for example, but there are successful examples. See, Consensus and Wildlife Fund teamed up to find a company called Impactio, a project curation and funding platform for SDGs. Alright. Then, what do they do? Then there is something called GiveTrack, which offers real-time tracking of funds for social sector project deployments. Right? Then there is a software called Alice, which is developing a liquid market for social impact bonds, linking grants management and impact investing markets, right? Challenges are there. There are a lot of challenges because it's a very unregulated market at the moment. But what I'm trying to say, there's a huge amount of work which is already happening. And the last point which I want to make is climate change and carbon emissions. Everybody is talking about 1.5 degree climate. Can you imagine? This is the hottest year. 2021 is the hottest year on records, right? In spite of manipulation by countries, okay? 1.5 degree we have already crossed, and this is the reason we are here. This year, actually the loss, never in human history has been the loss, the loss is the highest this 2021 as compared to your last century every year, okay? Maybe something like $5 trillion worth of loss. Hurricanes, forest fires, because nobody is talking about, talk about the natural wealth, uski koi cost nahi lena na, right? So, uspe blockchain technologies hai, when we use these databases based on blockchain technologies, where you cannot manipulate, a country cannot manipulate. ऊपर से photographs आ गई हैं, इतने acres loss हो गया, इतना climate change आ गया. तो climate change के अंदर भी already we are working on couple of projects which I cannot reveal at the moment. India is also very very seriously involved, where you are talking about, because BCT enabled agri-tech startups. There are a lot of agri-tech startups, right? Food is going to become very expensive because of climate change. Online renewable energy markets, new era of carbon credit markets. Carbon credits, everybody has forgotten. If you remember, 10 साल पहले UNFCCC, okay, it's coming back, okay. So please do not forget, blockchain technology is a technology which is an enabler. It is not a panacea. ठीक है, आप सोचेंगे हाँ जी ब्लॉकचेन हो गया और हमारा काम हो गया, सॉरी, नो नहीं होगा. इसमें बहुत सारी ट्रांसपेरेंसी है, उसमें बहुत सारे लॉज आने हैं, लॉट ऑफ साइबर क्राइम. ऐसा नहीं है, सच बोला था कि वो इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू हैक, बट फिर हैकर्स को निकाल ही लेंगे, अल्टीमेटली बना तो हम ही रहे, राइट? तो in spite of all that, so what I'm trying to say is the world over, lot of work is already happening. Learn from them, some of the companies or startups in the country. I'm also involved in a couple of them, right? So let us learn from what is happening, collaborate, right, and implement, right? We already have Aadhaar base, fantastic. I think no country has done in that 5-year time frame what India has done, right? So, but we have to learn from outside and we have to work together. So UN had multilateral bodies and there are a lot of funds, but there are no projects. Sorry to say that we are very intelligent, but there were not. There are gentlemen from the funds, okay? So it's happening, but it takes some time, okay? So let us dream and aim to dream, okay? So I'll end it here. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanks to the foundation.